To those in the gallery. Good morning, staff. Martha, good morning. And council. I'd like to call to order this City of Salmon Development Planning Services Committee meeting of Tuesday, June the 3rd. I'll just check with staff first to see if there's any additions to the agenda.
None from staff, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillors, do you have any additions to the agenda? Seeing none. Any disclosure of interest from councillors? Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Your Worship. Since Ms. Venard is presenting or is the applicant for the first one and I do benefits for the law firm, I should probably step out.
Thank you very much. Any other disclosure of interest? Okay, well, we'll move right to item 5.1, reports amendment to development permit application DP 419. Harborfront Drive Northeast, two-story mixed-use development. We have a proposed motion, if I could have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Eliason, seconder. Councillor Cannon, thank you. I'll ask the Director of Development Services please to explain the DP amendment.
Your Worship, this is a previously approved development permit application number 419 for the property at 481 Harborfront Drive, directly west of the CSRD building and southeast of the Marine Park parking lot. Back in June last year, almost a year ago, Council approved a development permit for a 4-story mixed-use building, commercial office on the first 2 floors and then 2 upper floor residential suite floors. And since June of last year, the applicant scaled down the proposal to 2 floors instead of 4 and changed the design of the building a little bit. In my opinion, it is, and in the architect's opinion, that the new design is a little bit nicer, for lack of a better word, than the previous proposal. And also with the revised amendment, there is a proposed accessory building covering these 6 parking stalls along the east parcel line. It would be set back a little over 1 meter off of the east property line. It's 66 feet long by 21 feet wide, and the purpose of the accessory building is to cover the 6 parking stalls. And because of those changes, an amendment is needed for the development permit, and this rendering shows what the carport looks like in relation to the main building. The main building the previous main building would have had quite a few parking stalls under the building. More than half of the main floor would have been parking. And with the previous proposal, there was a property across the street, across Harborfront Drive, that was purchased by the applicant for parking purposes, and that property and parking was needed because of the floor area. The combined floor area of the previous building was such that there was not enough parking space on site, and the site is quite restricted. It's a very large property, but only a small portion of it can actually be developed because of the riparian area setback, which is shown here as SPIA, Streamside Protection and Enhancement Area, off the bank, just south of the walkway. But the property boundary extends into the lake up here. So this is in front of you as an amendment, and it's a form and character proposal.
Great, thank you very much. Would the applicant like to speak to us at all about the DP amendment?
No, it's just the clarification of the parking not requirement, but for the sake of the 2 residential suites, it's what's preferred.
Okay, all right. If we have any questions, we'll ask you to come forward. Council, do you have any questions for the applicant or for staff at this time? Okay, I don't see any. I just wanted to check the landscape plan, I think Appendix 6 has the so is that the previous landscape plan?
Yes, this landscape plan was approved with the previous development permit, and it still is in effect.
Okay. I just wonder with the parking garage, the landscaping that's shown there, I guess on the east side, yeah, there. So that will still be in place and just behind the parking garage, is that right?
Yes, this landscaping has to be planted.
Okay, all right. And the applicant, I'll ask Councillor Cannon for her question. She has a question. Councillor Cannon, go ahead.
So there's still residential in this development?
Through your worship, yes, there's 2 residential units on the top floor.
Okay. And I mean, I understand probably economics why it's scaled down to 2 stories instead of 4, because it probably was quite costly, the development. Is there an option in the future to maybe put residential above that accessory building, or is there options that are left open?
Your worship, I would say the options would be limited for that scenario, mainly because the parking is really limited on the site. And the previous proposal, the applicant purchased another property to accommodate parking for more floor area. So with this reduction in floor area, the number of parking stalls shown on the revised site plan is what fits.
Okay.
And those parking spaces meet the bylaw as far as both the residential and the commercial requirements.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Okay, we'll ask Councillor Flynn to come in. Our second item this morning, we were scheduled to do this presentation at 8:30. I know some guests had been invited. Would it be appropriate to recess until 8:30, or would the CEO prefer we just continue?
I think we should recess, your worship.
Okay. All right, I think that would be the best too. So we'll have the Director of Development Services then at 8:30. We'll do the presentation on the ALC, and we have some guests who are invited at that time. We'll recess for 20 minutes.